What's up, YouTube? Gonna be doing a gear bag video. This is gonna be a little unique from the other videos I've done with my bug out bags and whatnot, because this bag, or the contents of this bag, are things that I actually use frequently when I go out into the desert, whereas the bug out bags I don't typically use. I just have them stored away just in case. But this is a bag that I guess you could say it's like an EDC, but it's really just got specifically the items that I would normally carry into the desert for the hunting and trapping and bushcraft that I do out there. Now, I did have all of this stuff in another backpack, which I've swapped out for this one, which I picked up recently at a second-hand store for $7. And this is a National Guard issued backpack that the Army gives to new recruits, and obviously somebody ended up donating this, so got a really good deal on it. It is in really good shape. I haven't actually found many issues with it at all. No stains, no real signs of wear. It just looks like a great pack. I couldn't believe it was still sitting there for that price and nobody had bought it. I mean, this isn't typical cheap backpack. This is all reinforced, solid material. It's got a rubber texturized bottom. No MOLLE webbing or anything like that, but it does have good padding, and it's also got this, which I like on backpacks. Instead of the separated straps, it's got one uniform piece, so that's not going to dig into your shoulders quite as much or be as prone to ripping, because it's got just a solid piece that the straps are connected to. The handle looks really good. I've reinforced it with fabric glue, so that's not going to rip out. It's kind of interesting, this padded part. It does have a pocket right here. Not only do you have this padding, but it feels like there's a thick piece of foam in here, which you can kind of see, probably about 1 inch thick. So that just gives you extra padding so that the contents don't poke through. If you had something flat you could put in there for storage. The water bladder really wouldn't, I guess you could put one in there, but it would tend to bunch up, so I wouldn't recommend that. This surprisingly is not water bladder compatible as far as I can tell, although obviously I have added one to it. Let's see here. So I guess we can start off with the side pockets. You've got this smaller one down here, and you have a slightly larger one that has 4 inserts, 4 pens, or whatever objects you could fit in there. In this pocket I've got 850 cord, 750 cord, rubber bands and ranger bands. Then I have my first aid kit, which I have done a review on before, Altoid's first aid kit. I just have a little bit of money and some camouflage gorilla tape, ace bandage, big ranger band wrapped around that. The money you wouldn't think would do much good in the desert, but one time I was walking home and there was a lemonade stand and I bought some water and lemonade off of a little girl who was selling that. That was really refreshing, so it's always good just to have at least a few dollars so that you can buy something, even a garage sale that you happen to come across. It's better than not having anything. And to be honest, I don't typically carry my wallet when I'm in the desert because I don't have any need for a wallet when I'm out there. This pocket I've got wild bird seed and a monocular. This monocular is pretty cool. It's a Vision Night Vision. I don't know why it's called that, because it's not a night vision, but it actually works pretty good. Just gives you a little bit of magnification out there. It's a lot lighter and more compact than binoculars. So those are those two pockets. None of this is filled full because I don't take that much gear. Go to the other side. I don't actually have anything in here yet, but what I would probably put in here would be like a 1 liter bottle for extra water, especially this time of year when it's really hot out there. Okay, these front pockets, there's actually a main pocket, which is where the water tube is coming out of. Then there's this secondary pocket right here, and then this bottom pocket. In the bottom pocket we have our cutting utensils. So we've got our Schrade SCH 15 Tonto, fantastic field knife, Baco Laplander, and yes, you can see that is very worn out. I use this all the time. And then our third cutting option, which is a new acquisition, is a very cheap pair of pruners that I got from the dollar store. But when you need this particular tool, it is very convenient. So those are my 3 cutting tools. I'm going to keep those right in this pocket. In this one I have my leather gloves, and these have been through hell and back. Starting to come undone. I have dug 3-foot deep holes in the desert with just my hands with these, and they've had so many thorns and everything else in them. This is a golf glove, which I've painted camouflage, and that is used when I'm pumping my air guns. It gives you a little more dexterity than the thicker leather glove, and when you're pumping the guns a lot, there's a lot of wear on your hands, so I just use that one glove for the pumping action. These are just one rubber glove in each of these bags. I have a ton of these little bags, so it's a pair of rubber gloves basically. And if you're out there and you want to skin something, there's no water, and you don't want to use your drinking water to wash off with, so it's easier to just make a mess with rubber gloves, throw them away, and you don't have to deal with it with cleanup. Several bags here. Just a random piece of trash got in there. It's Walmart bags. More trash. That's what you get when you get a second-hand bag. Find all kinds of weird stuff in there. Those I use to put game in. Don't think I have much else in these smaller pockets other than some items up here. Smoke balls. When I was telling you earlier about how I had to dig that hole, I was trying to dig out a rabbit that had gone down a hole. If I'd only had a smoke ball, I could have smoked it out. Instead, I had to resort to other measures. So there's a few things smoke balls can be used for: signaling, and also for flushing out game. And then this time of year, this is really handy, and it's just a mosquito head net. Keeps the bugs out of your face because they are constantly bothering you when it's hot out. So that is the upper pocket. Then we'll go to our main pocket or panel. Nothing in here yet. I would normally put one of my air guns or my slingshot, food, shemagh, something like that. It's kind of interesting. It does have this pouch here, which I've stuck the water bladder into. So You know, is that what it's for? I'm not sure. It seems to work pretty good. Technically this should be suspended. On my old bag I put Velcro straps so it could be suspended, but the way it holds it, it seems to hold it pretty well, so, and securely, so that it doesn't bunch up. So it actually works pretty good there. The only thing is you have to leave the zipper open to make room for it to stick out, unless you want to cut a hole through the bag. There doesn't seem to be any holes pre-made for it, so that's why I don't think that's what it was meant for. You have this little hole here for speakers or headphones. You can put an iPod or something in there. I don't take that stuff out with me, but I will. Sometimes I'll carry my cell phone, maybe even my wallet sometimes, and I'll just put those right there. So I want that up top. My keys will go in there. And then this, I've got a lighter. And this is all I take with me out there. As much as people talk about having Surefire and all this stuff and fire steels, this is a cheap imitation Bic lighter, V-Light lighter. And I've had it for months and have all the fire I need, whether it's starting a fire out there, which I rarely do, or just burning the ends of paracord. You got your fire. You don't need to overcomplicate it. And then, well, before I talk about that, so that's the thing about this bag. This is an actual bag I use, and it's got the items that are being used on a day-to-day basis. So when you have, you know, when people have the quote-unquote fire kits that they put in their bug out bag, you don't need an entire fire kit. At least not where I'm at. You just need a lighter, and you're fine. Don't overcomplicate it. This is SPF 50 sunblock stick. I'm not a huge fan of that, but it's just something I have out in the field. I'll typically put on sunblock lotion or spray before I go out there, but that's a backup. Let's see, yeah, we covered the main pocket, so those are these top two. Then you've got this handle, which seems to hold up pretty well. On the straps, the only thing about these straps, they do seem a little thin, or at least worn down. I mean, I don't see any stains like somebody ever worn this or sweat in it or anything. Maybe they cleaned it, but it looks pretty good. So maybe these just come really thin, but they're just well made, and they've got, you know, these nylon straps there. It does have that cross strap for the chest. Everything's adjustable, obviously. This is nice down here, the stick nylon that's attached to, that's not gonna break. I really don't see anything on here that looks like it would be prone to breaking. I mean, everything is just stitched up really nice. The design of the pack's a little odd as far as it kind of like caves in on itself. And the pouches are angled to where it's not like just a big square. It's kind of tapers towards the top. And this thing looks like it would hold a ton of stuff. Again, this isn't the pack that I've normally been rolling with. I just transferred all my gear to this, so I haven't worn it in the field yet. This is more of a first impression of the pack itself, but this gear is well tested and used, but the pack itself isn't. But you know, it's ACU camouflage. That'll blend in a desert environment, urban environment. Won't really stand out too much. Has some Velcro up here for morale patches or whatever. All the zippers have these ties on them, which are great. They're not paracord, but they're just regular nylon. But they work fine. I guess not a whole lot else on this. It seemed like my other pack was basically full with all this gear, and this one is going to have a ton of room to spare. I mean, I've had to put jackrabbits in my backpack before, so going out there, you don't want your pack completely filled up. you want enough space to where if you're collecting items, you can throw them in there. And I just like how all the pockets are on the outside, so I can get to everything easily. I don't like having to dig in a whole lot. So I can keep everything organized. This long one's really nice. You could put who knows what in there. But just keep that on the side. Like I said, I'll probably put a 1 liter bottle. And as far as the water goes, for the bladder, I've got the tube. It just connects around. I may have to, I don't know, weave it through like this, something like that. Otherwise it kind of drapes over the shoulder. But you want it enough to where you can sip on it as you're walking. That's really convenient to have that out in the desert when it's really hot, because you need to be drinking constantly, and it gets annoying to have to pull the pack off and take a bottle out. So you can keep your half gallon of water in there, sip on that, and then you have your backup that you can keep in the pack. The bottom, again, this is a different material. This is like hard texturized rubber. And this is more nylon. Just real sturdy. Goes all the way around the bottom. And has this piping that covers all the seams. That is a good feature to have, which really helps with the durability. You're not going to blow out seams very easily with that. As far as the waterproofedness, hard to tell. I'm not sure if this is, it does have this inner liner, so I'm not sure if the outer is rubberized fabric. It looks like it might be. This material isn't too waterproof, I don't think, but it's at least water resistant, so I would feel comfortable in a light rain walking with this, and my gear isn't going to get soaking wet. But it may be completely waterproof, I'm not sure. But again, out there in the desert, rain is not that big of an issue. Yeah, so this is the National Guard bag and my EDC bag. There's a few other videos out there on YouTube of this bag, people doing reviews on it. This is pretty old. I think it was issued probably like 6 or 7 years ago. So there's a lot of old reviews of this bag, and they're pretty funny. So you can check those out if you want. But I thought I'd actually do a real review of it so you can see how cool this bag is. But that's pretty much it on this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Take care.